And I'm back. Sorry about that. "What are we going to do now, Sarge?" said Lance Constable Vimes. "We'll patrol," said Vimes. "Close in, just these few streets." "What good'll that do?" "More good than if we didn't, lad. Didn't you take the oath when you joined up?" "What oath, Sarge?" He didn't, Vimes remembered. A lot of them hadn't. You just got your uniform and your bell, and you were a member of the Night Watch. A few years ago, Vimes wouldn't have bothered about the oath either. The words were out of date, and the shilling on a string was a joke. But you needed something more than the wages, even in the Night Watch. You needed something else to tell you that it wasn't just a job. "Snouty, nip up to the captain's office and get the shilling, will you?" said Vimes. "Let's get this lot sworn in. And where's Sergeant Knock?" "Pushed off, Sarge," said Wiglet. "Dunno if it helps, but he said to hell with him when he went out the door." Vimes counted heads. It would be said later that all the watch houses stayed on. They hadn't, of course. Some had slipped away, some hadn't come back on duty at all, but it was true about Kiel and the line. "Okay, lads," he said, "it's like this. We know what's been going on. I don't know about you, but I don't like it. Once you get troops on the streets, it's only a matter of time before it goes bad. Some kid throws a stone, and next minute there's houses on fire and people getting killed. What we're going to do is keep the peace. That's our job. We're not going to be heroes, we're just going to be normal. Now," he shifted position, "it might just be that someone will say we're doing something wrong, so I'm not going to order you." He drew his sword and scratched a line across the mud and stones. "If you step over the line, then you're in," he said. "If you don't, then that's fine. You didn't sign up for this, and I doubt that there'll be any medals, whatever happens. I'll just ask you to go, and the best of luck to you." It was almost depressing how quickly Lance Constable Vimes crossed the line. Fred Colin came next, and Waddy, and Billy Wiglet, and Spatchcock, Colweather, and Moist, and Leggy Gaskin, and Horace Nancy Ball, and Curry, wasn't it? And Evans, and Pounce. A dozen crossed the line, the last few with the reluctance caused by a battle between peer pressure and a healthy regard for their skin. A few others, more than Vimes had hoped, evaporated at the back. That left Ned Coates. He crossed his arms. "You're all bloody mad," he said. "We could use you, Ned," said Vimes. "I don't want to die," said Ned, "and I don't intend to. This is stupid. There's not a dozen of you. What can you do? All that stuff about keeping the peace. It's rubbish, lads. Coppers do what they're told by the men in charge. It's always like that. What'll you do when the new captain comes in, eh? And who are you doing this for? The people? They attacked the other houses. And what's the Night Watch ever done to hurt them?" "Nothing," said Vimes. "There you are, then. I mean, the watch did nothing, and that's what hurt them," said Vimes. "What could you do, then? Arrest Winder?" Vimes felt that he was building a bridge of matchsticks over a yawning abyss, and now he could feel the chilly winds below him. He'd arrested Vetinari, back in the future. Admittedly, the man had walked free after what passed for the due process of law, but the City Watch had been, was going to be, big enough and strong enough, and well connected enough to actually arrest the ruler of the city. How had they ever got to that stage? How had he ever dreamed that a bunch of coppers could slam the cell door on the boss? Well, perhaps it started here. Lance Constable Vimes was watching him intently. "Of course we can't," he said, "but we ought to be able to. Maybe one day we will. If we can't, then the law isn't the law. It's just a way of keeping people down." "Looks like you've woken up and smelled the khaki," said Coates, "because that's exactly what you're in. Sorry, lads, but you're going to die. That's what'll happen when you tangle with real soldiers. Remember Dolly's sisters the other night? 3 dead, and they weren't even trying." "Come on, Ned, no one's going to have a go at us if we're just patrolling," mumbled Colin. "Patrolling for what?" said Coates. "To keep the peace? What'll you do when there's no peace left to keep?" "Well, I'm not going to stand around and watch you get killed. I'm off." He turned and strode out of the yard and into the watch house. "You bloody fool, you're right," Vimes thought. "I just wish you weren't so right." "Still with us, lads?" he said to the group caught behind the line. "That's right, Sarge," said Lance Constable Vimes. The rest of the volunteers seemed slightly less certain. Are we going to get killed? Said Wiglet. Who said it's going to come to a fight? Said Vimes, watching Coates retreating back. Wait a moment, I want a word with Ned. Got the shilling, Sarge, Snouty announced, advancing across the yard, and the captain wants a word with you. Tell him I'll be just a few minutes. It's the new captain, said Snouty quickly. He's here already. Keen, military, not the patient type, Sarge. I used to have Carrot and Detritus and Angua and Cheery for this, Vimes thought bitterly. I'd say you do this and you do that, and all I had to do was fret and deal with the sodden politics. Get Fred to swear the men in, he said, and tell the officer I'll be with him shortly. He ran through the watch house and out the front door. There were a lot of people in the street, more than usual. It wasn't a mob as such, but it was Ankh-Morpork's famous mob, the state you got just before a real mob happened. It spread across the city like a web and spider, and, when some triggering event happened, twanged its urgent message through the streets and thickened and tightened around the spot. The Dolly Sisters massacre had got around, and the numbers had grown in the telling. Vimes could sense the tension in the web. It was just waiting for some idiot to do the wrong thing, and nature is bountiful where idiots are concerned. Coates! He yelled. To his surprise, the man stopped and turned. Yeah? I know you're with the revolutionaries. You're just guessing. No, you had the password in your notebook, the same one Dibbler was passing out in pies. You must know I was able to get into the lockers. Look, do you think you and Dibbler would still be walking around if I was a spy for Swing? Sure, you're not after us. We can be mopped up later. Swing wants the leaders. Vimes stood back. And here we go again. See you in a bit.